Here's a bit of a different video for you today. This is a brief catch up with someone that I've been following for a good while who has inspired me to communicate more on everything to do with sustainability and climate change and decarbonisation. Multi award winner, TEDx speaker, campaigner, influencer, TV contributor, and all round superhero is Laura Young, or maybe more commonly known as Less Waste Laura. Here's a conversation I had with her earlier today. Well, hello, Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on YouTube today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Great to be having this chat. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, really well. Really. Where are you today? Where are we talking to you
So
from?
I am somewhere on the west coast of Scotland called Prestwick. We've got an
Okay.
airport people mostly know Prestwick for, but that's where I'm calling in from today.
So tell me a little bit about your story. What got you into communicating around climate change and sustainability and all this kind of stuff?
Mm. To be honest, I think it kind of came naturally. So, like the whistle stop tour of my background is at school, had no scooby what I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved geography, favorite subject. So then I went to uni and started studying that, and I did geography and environmental science. I did it in Dundee and loved it. But while I was at uni, Blue Planet 2 happened. So not only was I kind of learning about it in uni, but also kind of everybody was becoming aware of the environmental issues that were all around us, plastic in the ocean, the turtle with the straw in its nose. Like everyone was kind of waking up to realizing that we were not treating the planet well. And it was actually in my final year of uni with all of this around us that I said, well, what can I do? And I realized, well, maybe just this year, my New Year's resolution can be about sustainability, try and be more sustainable, that kind of thing. And so I just started a journey, thinking about me as an individual and what I could change in my life to be more sustainable and how could I bring people along with me. And really quickly, I started to realize people were asking me, what was that product that you were using that was eco-friendly? Or can you tell me a bit more about the background of why that's good or why that's bad? And so I thought I should probably start writing this down because it's quite, I'm going through all this in my head. Let's put it down. And so I started an Instagram account called Less Waste Laura, very simple because I was trying to produce less waste, and started kind of using it as a place to document. And in the first year, it very quickly developed from like tips and tricks for trying to be more sustainable to actually this could be a platform to share the academic stuff I'm learning, the research, but also use it as a bit more of a platform to kind of campaign and discuss and have conversations around science, climate change, plastic waste, all that stuff. And it's grown, for years, it's kind of grown off the back of that. But it really started as quite a sort of genuine, like, I'm just going to document sustainability and see where it goes.
Yeah, so good. I mean, I've followed you for years, so I don't know how long it is, but yeah, you've definitely provoked something in me, and probably helped my story in terms of communicating on climate change. It's first of all using a platform to practice it a little bit and to say to our friends, but then also like how do we multiply that and how to get more people thinking about this stuff. Um, if you've not seen Laura's TEDx on YouTube on plastic waste, I would really encourage people to look at that, and I'll link it below. And I'll put all your Instagram and all that kind of stuff in the bit below as well. I mean, I had one of my Meet My Hero moments last summer where we did an event together. So a bit of a random question, but have you met anyone fun over your years of campaigning? Have you had a meet your hero moment in this stuff?
I feel like loads, like you meet loads of really cool people. I'm trying to think if there's like one person. Well, do you know, this is not a hero one, but I get invited because I do science, climate communication, but just because I've got lots of followers, I also get classed as an influencer. So you also get to go to like random events that you're like, I shouldn't be here, but this is cool. So like Brian Cox, the actor, was like at the event I was at, and I was like, okay, that's just kind of cool. So even though he's not a climate change hero, I was still like Succession and like all those things. That's quite cool. But to be honest, like, I met Caroline Lucas at an event called Greenbelt. And so, regardless of your political views, she's pioneered a party kind of single handedly, obviously with lots of support. So it was kind of interesting to hear from her perspective about being the one green MP and what that means. So, that was quite cool to kind of have that. So yeah, but like loads of people, and actually some of the coolest people I've met, like there's this one guy who I've met who in my local area, he's like the litter picking warrior. Like he's just like every day goes out and litter picks. And I remember I met him in real life and was like, it's like meeting a celebrity because you are a local litter picking hero. So, you kind of also get to meet like cool people like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember you telling a story about your experience of COP in Glasgow and meeting Nicola Sturgeon as well, and that I found that a very inspiring story. But that's for another time, maybe. Well, you can tell it now if you want.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is you get to meet lots of politicians, which is quite cool. And Nicola Sturgeon. And like the funny thing about that is I also then met her the next year at COP27 in
Right.
Egypt.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were actually walking past each other and she just looked at me and she was like, I recognise you. Are you from Scotland? And it was like Scottish people just connecting. So that was pretty cool. Like her kind of stopping with all of her team, and they were like, Scottish person, and we were like, yeah. We just like had a chat in the middle of this kind of passageway in COP, which was
Yeah,
really
really
cool.
great.
And I've got
Really
another
cool.
story about the current first minister, but when we
Yeah.
chat about vapes, I'll bring it up because that's relevant to that.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Um, yeah, before we get onto vapes, I guess with all your campaigning over the years, you've been to COP a couple of times. You've done lots of amazing campaigns. You've been on telly, loads of really fun stuff. How do you feel at the moment? Are you hopeful about change? Are you hopeful about the situation, whether it's waste or climate change or etc.? How do you feel?
I know it's a tough one because partly I think depending on what day you get people on, they'll maybe give you a different answer or what stories have been in the news. But I, I kind of like to relate it to COVID, which is a bit of a kind of odd thing to bring up because we're in this post-COVID kind of time. But I remember the kind of February of 2020, January, February, and we just had no idea what this COVID thing was. We didn't know where it was coming from, how it was spreading. We didn't know how to tackle it. We didn't know what it meant. People were getting furloughed. People were losing, like, it was just a world of unknown. And we were just doing this trial and error, trying to work out what the best solution was. But very quickly we realized, okay, like these are the things that can help. So like let's put on masks, let's try and wash our shopping, like all this kind of stuff. But we realized very quickly, okay, we can try and mitigate it. And then a vaccine came along, and then we kind of learned to live with it. And we've learned as a society how to deal with it. And I remember a lot of hopelessness with that situation because it was like you were scared to kind of do anything. I was scared to see my gran. I was scared to go to work. You really didn't know what you wanted to do. But with climate change, we're not in the same situation. We actually know what's causing it. We know really well what's causing it. We know where the impacts are. We know what the impacts are going to keep continuing to be like. And we know what the solutions are. And so I think that has a lot of hope in it because actually we know what we need to address. The frustration comes from, is there the political or the business will to get us there, and are we actually putting it into practice? But sometimes I go to the conferences, for example, and you just hear about these amazing initiatives and you're like, this is so good, like this is what we need to do, whether it's like community energy partnerships or a circular economy businesses, and you're like, this is so great, we just need to do more of it. So I think I am really hopeful because you do actually hear about the amazing initiatives that are happening. It's just about how do we push it forward and push it at speed to meet the scale of the challenge that is ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got you on today to talk specifically about your latest campaign, and that's really got my attention, and it's about disposable vapes. So could you tell us a little bit about that campaign? Why is it important, and what can we do to support as a community?
And it's funny because see, when we talk about environmental issues, so like climate, everything, it's like so broad, and disposable vapes are like this, right? Recognize it, but actually they represent a lot of the problems that we face. They represent disposability, convenience, like not looking after the materials of the world. So disposable vapes have been around for about 3 years. That's the kind of point. And they've really become quite popular. They are a small electronic device that is pumped full of a kind of nicotine solution that is designed to be a smoking cessation tool. So to help people get off tobacco cigarettes and onto something else. And vaping has been around for 20 years, but it's grown in popularity. And what began as something that you would charge and refill and kind of modify yourself has now become something that you can walk into almost any shop and for a few pounds, £3, £4, pick up one of these vapes that's like ready to go. And inside these devices, you've got loads of different materials. The outside might be plastic, it might be metal with plastic coating. And inside, you've got all different parts, including copper wiring, electronic components, a lithium ion battery, all kind of tucked neatly into this little package. And these things are being sold in their millions. So the recent updated research from Material Focus, a electronic recycling organization, this year was showing that 5 million of these a week were being thrown away. 5 million. So 5 million lithium ion batteries, 5 million single use plastic, metal, all these things, all of them just getting thrown away. And they're a nightmare because they contain all these amazing earth resources that we need for other stuff. We need for electric bus batteries, or we need for solar panels, we need for other things. Yet we're shoving them into these £3, £4 disposable vapes that people literally use once and throw away. And the thing that boggles my brain is we don't have disposable electronics. Try and think of another one. There's a few really niche ones, but really, day to day, you don't throw away anything that's electronic. You charge it like a phone, or it lives plugged into the wall like a toaster. And these things have just kind of swept onto the market, and we are now seeing problems with the waste, the litter, fires from the lithium ion batteries because they're being chucked in the bin and ending up getting damaged and causing massive issues in bin lorries and at waste sites. They're just so problematic. And as I said, in the world where we've got so many issues, this is just one small one. But actually, it represents convenience, throwaway, disposability, and business who are just allowed to come in with whatever they want, no matter how harmful, and just flog it in their millions.
I think it's a really good example of something that will impact local area in terms of what's the runoff to water in terms of biodiversity of having like a lithium ion battery and this plastic waste etc on the ground. But you often hear people talk about like the resource shortage for the precious resources that we need for decarbonisation. It just feels like what waste, even if they're tiny, it's tiny things sold in the millions is a huge amount. So I think that you're organising a petition at the moment that's going to try and bring people together on this. Is that something that we can engage with? And is there anything else that you'd want us to do to support you in this story?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things is, so over the last year, that's how long the campaign's been, which is a long time, but actually in the world of campaigning is really, really short. We've got a lot that's happened in the last year. We've had loads of organizations come on board and say, yep, we want to support a ban on these disposables, and then also tackle all the other problems that this industry has brought, but we want to do it together. And that's been environmental charities, but also, public health organizations, youth organizations. This is not just one kind of problem, this is across the board. And the big thing that we've been doing is trying to get the government to change the law, basically, to put in a policy that says these can't exist. And the way that the government operates is they say, okay, we want to do something about it. And then they put out a consultation. And that is what is live right now. So the UK government, which does cover Scotland and the other nations, we're doing it together, which is amazing because not often do we work together. They've put out a consultation about vaping kind of in general, but it looks at specifically youth vaping, youth access, the marketing, and the disposability. So the kind of environmental issues that we've been touching on. And this consultation is live now, and it's live until December 6th. And anyone can respond. So you can respond as an individual, you can respond as an organization, as a professional, as part of your job. And the more people that we get responding, the better the outcome will be, because it will be more informed. The government will be hearing from more people. And I mean, consultations are quite boring. They might also be a bit scary to people, but really it's like a big survey where you can do some multiple choice questions about agree or disagree or don't know. And there's also boxes for you to kind of add in, whether that's anecdotal advice. I know lots of parents have put in, stories about their kids, or it might be research or evidence that you've seen where you think that was a really powerful statistic. I think the government should keep that in mind. And it covers all these things, but actually you can respond to some of it or all of it. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. So even if you think, I don't really know much about the youth stuff or the flavors or the marketing, you can skip those questions. But this is the kind of big moment, because this campaign has involved loads of exciting stuff, like going to the parliaments and hosting events and media and, social media campaigns. But actually this consultation is like getting to the root. It's saying, okay, this is where we now all need to put our voices into this online consultation, which is a bit boring, as I said, but really, really important. So that consultation is out now. I've shared it on social media. It's on my website, but you can actually just go to the UK government website, look up I think it's called Youth Vaping as a sort of title, but it contains all these different elements inside of it.
That's brilliant. And I think, yeah, consultations, etc., are some of the really boring, slow, drip that it means political change can occur. So yeah, really encourage people to check out that. I'll be contributing to it. I'll be sharing it with some of my networks and trying to get this last couple of weeks to really get some support. And I think one of the bad things about consultations is that sometimes it can be like a really small group of people that probably have an interest in that area that are forming government policy. And actually, if this is something that could be much more impactful, then we should all be looking at it, definitely.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think, I've done along the last year, there've been things like radio stations do like phone in sessions and, for an hour, people talk about things. There's been loads of them done on vaping. And some of the stories you hear about the environmental side, the public health side, the youth side, it's so upsetting. But you're also like, okay, everybody from that, now also go and make sure you say it on this consultation. Because guess what?
Sure.
The government doesn't listen they might listen, but they're not taking into account what is said on these things. So it's, really trying to do it. And I will say that with anything, there is money to be made with whatever we're talking about. And, climate change, hopefulness, hopelessness, like there's money to be made in unsustainable practices. And with disposable vapes, there is a lot of money to be made. And there is a huge lobby from the other side that is trying to keep these items in circulation. And they will hold on to whatever they can to try and promote keeping these items. And that's the thing we've got to keep in mind. And, I think the sad thing about environmental stuff is often it's, people like me, I'm just volunteering my time to run this campaign. It's people, who don't have the same money behind them to, really put forward it. So it is so important for people to engage with stuff like this, even though I know it's not the easiest process to be involved in. This is how the government listens to people. This is how they take the words and turn it into policies. And as you say, we don't want it to be like a small group of people who get to basically make up the rules. We need it to be everyone chipping in and saying we want what's best for everyone.
Right, amazing. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Laura. I guess last question, are there any other messages that we should be taking away as we attempt to live more sustainably for the rest of this day?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I think for me, so there's a great climate scientist called Catherine Hayhoe, and she did a TED Talk. I think it's one of the most watched ones. It's brilliant. And she was talking about the most important thing we can do for climate change is just talk about it. And I think that's something even I need to challenge myself on. Am I talking about this stuff every single day and in a way that brings people with me? So like I'm currently visiting family and like they've maybe not got the most sustainable things set up in their house. Can I be having helpful conversations to like bring people along with me? When I'm at conferences that aren't climate related, but I'm there as a climate scientist, how can I be having those conversations and bringing people along? So I think that's something we can all do is like talk about it, be encouraging, be positive, and like try to have that. And that's something I challenge myself with too.
Yeah, amazing. Great message. So let's have some more conversations at some point soon. Thank you so much, Laura. And yeah, check out all Laura's social media and stuff.
Thank you.
It was great to catch up with Laura about all things sustainability, her story, her campaigns and stuff, and to hear about this specific campaign about disposable vapes. Please do watch Laura's TEDx video, follow her on social media, check out her website, and do contribute to the consultation about vapes that's open until the 6th of December.